Hi there, everyone. Hope life is treating you well. Very welcome if you're new here. My name is Shereen, and I'm doing an ad hoc reading for whoever this is meant for, whoever ends up watching this. If you are returning, very welcome. Thank you for joining me once again. I really appreciate you. And okay, so as I said, I was getting a message for somebody about a person that's came into your life in the past that it feels like this person went through your life like a whirlwind. Okay, that can be um, that it was very fleeting, and you felt like you kind of didn't get a chance to really see where it was going. And for others, I feel like this was like somebody who came in and disrupted your life. And I kind of see this wind passing out of a door, out of a house, and you holding the door and watching this wind go through and this wind leaving, but this wind is coming back around. Whatever this whirlwind is, if it's in a positive way, it might be that somebody from the past that you feel like you had a lost opportunity with might be coming back. But there is also a warning for those of you who had somebody who did feel like they were literally a whirlwind in your life, or you had like a whirlwind romance. There's some of you that were glad to see this person leaving. You've decided, even if that is later on, you know, months or years down the line, that you're actually very glad that this person left your life. And despite what happened, you've like kind of taken the lessons from that and moved forward from that. So it would be highly recommended not to let that whirlwind back into your life, because I feel like for some of you, if that was a negative experience and you've seen that in hindsight, even if you didn't see that in the beginning, you know that that was not the best thing for you, and you've said to yourself at some point, I will never allow that back into my life. If that person comes back around, the answer is no. And I feel like that's very important for some of you, because if you don't do that, you're going to repeat a cycle and you're going to find yourself in the same whirlwind. Okay, so that is a message for whoever it's meant for, and then I'm going to do some cards and see what comes up. It might be unrelated to the message that I've just gotten. Okay, but let's see what comes up. It might be a totally different situation for somebody totally different. So just watch out for your connections and be discerning about what you let into your life. If it's really someone that you met fleetingly and the two of you really connected and you felt like, oh, well, it's such a pity because I'm getting on a plane tomorrow kind of thing, and you didn't get to see each other again, and you would have liked to, you know, bring that back into your life, then perhaps there's an opportunity for you. But do be discerning, and, you know, people change, so perhaps that's not something you necessarily need in your life anymore, or other things have come into your life. So just a little word of warning for those of you who potentially it might not be the right thing, or it's no longer the time for that, whatever the case might be. Okay, so let's do this. Let's see what's coming up here. All right, so for some of you, this is it is about a relationship and a commitment of some sort. We've got this feels like someone who's in a relationship or a marriage at the moment. There's definitely family being mentioned here. There's the ring, which is some kind of a commitment, a proposal or something maybe. There might be somebody who's potentially getting engaged, or this talks about a commitment of some sort. But I do feel like there's a difficulty here, because we have the tree, which is usually friends, family, you know, whoever we would see as family. It's also got to do with our heritage, our roots. And then we've got the rider, which is forward movement with something, or a beginning of something and moving forward with gusto. Right, I'm not going to over explain these cards because this is Lenormand and it doesn't always make sense to everybody and it's not tarot. Um, we've also got the child and the anchor here, and we've got the woman. So we've got the woman and the man because he comes up. There's the woman, the man, and the lily are coming up here. And then the birds. Okay, so I'm just showing you these, but I'm going to do my own interpretation here. So I do feel like there's some changes and challenges that are happening here, and there's a wanting to move forward with certain things. And I feel like, again, there's two scenarios here. There is I feel like there's a person in a connection that feels like they are frustrated or feeling that there is something holding them back in a connection here. I feel like they also need to communicate this. So in certain circumstances, I feel like there might be a collective here where there is a wanting to make some kind of commitment, wanting to solidify something, but there are obstacles in the way. And I feel as if children could be an obstacle. All right. So if this person wants to get married, but they don't necessarily want kids or they don't get along with your kids, that could be that there's a factor involved here, like wishing you could just move forward without the kids involved. And that sounds really, really harsh, but we do need to respect the fact that some people don't want children and some people don't necessarily see the potential for allowing other people's children into their lives as well. So that needs to be respected, and that could be something that is an obstacle in this particular situation. And it's like these people are trying to find a way to move forward, trying to find a way to overcome this, to deal with it, to actually make this work. And I feel like there's potential for doing that. This could also be, I feel like this has the potential to be an obstacle where there's fertility is an issue as well. All right, so that might be a different collective that I'm talking to here, where you are not able to have children, and this is causing a block in your relationship because the fertility is an issue, and that is something that you need to talk about and work through and see, do you want to move forward with this relationship even if that is an obstacle, and if that's an obstacle, are you going to look at other options, all the rest of it. So I feel like there is this potential because there's a strong bond here, and I think it is a very positive bond, and it's like ideally these two people don't want to move away from each other, but this really is at the heart of the issue where this is something that weighs on them. So I think that this is something that can be worked through. Either it can be resolved and the problem's really not as bad as you think it is, or through working together, talking to each other, trying to come to some kind of agreement or resolution, or opening up yourself to other options, there can be some kind of healing that can happen here. Because I do see these two people moving forward together. I don't necessarily see in some cases that children are going to be um, a part of this for some of you. I think some of you are going to decide to move forward if fertility is an issue or whatever the case is here, that you're going to decide to stay together and work through it. So whether you adopt or you get a surrogate or you decide that you can live with that and it's fine, that you're not going to have children and you can find other ways in which to find fulfillment in your life, then that's perfectly fine. And I feel like that is a potential. I feel like there is potential here to still build that nest and build something beautiful and build a beautiful life for yourselves. And for some, I think there is potential to potentially, yeah, I think there is a possibility to find resolution here where the children are concerned. Generally speaking here, I see people moving forward single, like without kids. Okay, so if that means that there's not going to be a resolution if you don't want to take on somebody else's kids or they don't want to take on your kids. I think that if you decide to move forward on your own, that's going to be perfectly fine. Obviously, I think that people need to look at this on a more individual level and what that would do for the relationship dynamics. But I think that, sorry, just 1 second. I just want to see something here. There's definitely a strong love bond. This is not an easy thing. I feel like if there are existing children around, the mother's going to be quite steadfast in her approach. And I think that should be a given. And I'm not here to judge anybody or impart my opinion on, or enforce my opinion on anybody. Everybody's got their own path to walk. Everybody has their own life to live, has different dynamics and beliefs around things. So I'm not passing judgment or anything of the sort. I'm showing you what I see here. I feel like if it's the case that you are the mother in the situation, you're going to be very steadfast in your approach. Not everybody's going to be, all right? But in this particular instance, it's like this person's going to try to find balance, and they are going to make sure that they um, prioritize the children or the child. And I luckily also feel like this child is not aware of this situation necessarily. But I think that, yeah, I think for the majority of you, this is something that can be resolved. There's some kind of balance and compromise that can come up here. Let's have a quick look if there's any other guidance. I'm just going to pull from Healing with the Angels. Maybe they can give us some guidance here. Okay, any guidance for anybody in this situation, please? And before I start, please know we're talking about maybe a couple of different scenarios here. So there might be just one card that speaks to you and not all of them necessarily. But let's see what's coming up. What advice can we offer for whoever's dealing with the situation? There's the lily again. Okay, and I think that this talks about fertility, and here this does look like a child, this angel. So for some of you, like I said, I think that there might be a way, if you're battling with fertility, see we've got both flowers here, that this might be something that may be resolved for you. I'm not wanting to give anybody any false hope, but this is emerging, this is coming into your own or evolving in some way, that something that feels like it's impossible can become possible for you. Do you see how she's actually just a drawing, but parts of her are becoming a real person? She's becoming a physical 3D person. And I feel like this is like a dream in some way that has the potential to come to fruition. These actually look like daffodils. But either way, that was my first impression. So I think that I feel like for some people, the possibility of having a family, if that's something you've been struggling with, really is there. Okay, believe in miracles. Maybe there's just something else you have to try, a different practitioner you need to go to, something along those lines. Yeah, you see, enchantment. This is about magic. And using that visualization and keeping your dreams alive. If you have a dream that this situation can be resolved and you would love to just be in that happy place and find that resolution, then that is absolutely possible. These are all good cards, except for, I would say, the anchor, which also shows that there's some kind of problem there, like somebody's been told that they are infertile or something along these lines. And here's new beginnings. So that's really lovely, because that's what I'm picking up for almost every scenario here, is that there really is the potential for new beginnings, even if that means that you decide, okay, I can't continue this with this relationship because this person's not wanting children. It seems like you're okay with that, and you can respect that, and you can move forward, and there is a new beginning just around the corner. If you decide to move forward with it together, then there's the potential for a new beginning. If you decide to merge a family, then there's potential for new beginnings, and maybe you end up having more children together with this person. But this is really all very, very positive. Making a big mess here. Okay, I think I'm going to ask for one more, please. Forgiveness. Okay. And children. Oh my word. Look there. Okay. I've got goosebumps when I see this card, because I feel like that is a huge element for people who maybe need to communicate that they really just don't want children. And some people find that incomprehensible. Okay, but others just really that they don't see that in their lives. And we all have different purposes, different experiences. If you believe in past lives, it's very likely that there's very good reasons why you possibly don't want children in this lifetime, or very good reasons why you do want children. And some people want loads of children, and some people foster children or become surrogates for others. Everybody's on their own path. All right, and that's something vitally important to remember, and everybody does have that choice. So I think that there needs to be forgiveness in that respect. And there may even be a scenario here where you feel like it's hard to find that place of forgiveness, or understanding rather, if your partner is unable to give you children, or you find yourself in a difficult situation, or to forgive yourself if you say, I don't want kids, and this means that I don't want to continue with this relationship. That's something very important to discuss very early in any kind of relationship. But sometimes we do find ourselves in the situation, or we get happily married and then we discover we can't have children. All right, but for some there's a huge focus around that here, and there is potential for that. Maybe someone's even going to have some beautiful twins. Okay, very interesting reading. I hope that this speaks to somebody and is helpful. And may you all be blessed in whatever way suits you best. I wish you a beautiful day further. Take care. Bye for now.